Hey everybody, welcome back to the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I'm your host, Gordo Gambles, and today we are talking about UFC Jacksonville. We have ourselves a 14-fight slate from, Jacksonville itself. We're away from the Apex for a nice fight night card, and it's a fun one. And it's even a fight afternoon card, I believe. I think it doesn't start till, I think it's like 10:30 Central, so it's about 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Fun card, lots of entertaining scraps, and one that I actually have a ton of action on this week, I'm being completely honest. I'm liking my ankles and I'm excited to talk about them. Quickly though, beforehand, please hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying my best to get up to 1,000 subscribers if I can. I'm hoping to hit 800 by the end of this video here. Put out all this content for free. Wouldn't mind a little bit of monetization to the side of it, helping me out being a student. If you guys have any recommendations to make the videos any better, please leave them down below. I know last week we had a comment saying about having a favorite play of the slate, a best bet of the slate, and all that kind of stuff there, which I'm happy to include at the end. That will be at the end of the video as well. But please, I'm open to criticism. I'm open to talk in the comments down below. Let's do this. First fight of the night, we have the 8-4 Cody Brundage versus the 7-1 Cedric Dumas. A very, very fun fight, a very electric one that is going to be starting us off with a total set at under 1.5 rounds. Yes, a juiced under. You guys know I love to target violent in the very first fight of the night, and this is one where we're going to do the same. It is a very, very binary matchup. We have ourselves let's say the striker, the guy who is going to have a lot of power, the very lanky guy, Cedric Dumas, versus the grappler and Cody Brundage, a guy who's showed some improvements in his striking, but also a guy who isn't the most trustworthy fighter coming in on short notice. And the truth we have here is we have ourselves a little bit of recency bias. Yes, this is a very, very close fight. Both fighters have their flaws, but Dumas has burned people last time out. For that reason, he's a pretty hefty underdog. And as much as Cody Brundage has a decent skill set you want to back, he's going to actively wrestle. He's very well-rounded. He's got good finishing instinct as well. He's not someone I can trust at -200, and that's just the truth behind it. He's someone who with a questionable chin, questionable striking from range, questionable skill set off his back, and someone who also is coming in at short notice here. Although Cedric Dumas is kind of on a low point right here, losing to Josh Frem, I think he does have the archetype to beat someone like Brundage, and that is someone with good range, has the striking of Dumas with his incredible frame for the division, as well as some good power and some good wrestling of his own right if he decides to go there. We've seen Dumas be a complete fighter, and yes, there's still a long way for him to go. There's still, it was a good fade spot for him last time out, but I don't think he should be this big of an underdog, so as much as I like Cody Brundage, as much as I want to back him here, I might have to pick Cedric Dumas here. It's a very, very close one. I like the line where it opened up better at that -115, -105 range. Brundage being slightly favored, but at this price tag, I got to go with the underdog. I think Brundage, although he's a great fighter, isn't the most consistent fighter, can be finished, and I think that Dumas looks to get back on track here. I think he's got the power to put out Brundage from range. I think he has the defensive grappling to keep up with Brundage there as well. And I just think he has more paths to victory here, being the fighter who's prepared to fight in the first place. But on DraftKings, how do we go? Well, you want both sides of this thing. If Brundage wins, we've seen him go out there and put up 100+ scores. He put up 114 against Gore, 97 against Zhumagulov in his 2 wins so far. His grapple-heavy game plan, as well as his path to victory here, which is going to be take down and finish Dumas early on, could score very, very well. But on the flip side of things, Dumas 7-5. He's a guy with finishing instinct. He's got a very good guillotine in his own right, and we've seen Brundage get finished and put up very good scores against. So either way, I want a side of this fight. I'm actually leaning towards the underdog here on Dumas, but grapplers score well on DraftKings. For that reason, gonna have to have some Brundage as well. Very, very fun fight. Give me the under in this one. Give me violence, and give me an exciting prelim opener. Next up, 13-0 Tatsuro Taira, 8-2 Kletzen Rodrigues. Super, super fun fight. 13-0 Tatsuro Taira may be one of the most hyped up flyweights that there is right now. This guy has a ton of hype behind him for very good reason. Undefeated and extremely, extremely talented. But he's getting a tall task here, and I think that's kind of why this buyback is coming back on Kletzen Rodrigues. Although Taira is a guy who's going to have this superior skill set, it's nowhere near that -600% indicated. Nowhere near, that -600 indication because of the skill set Rodrigues has. Yes, we've seen him lose. Yes, we've seen him out cardioed. Yes, we've seen him taken down and controlled. But I do think this young kid Kletzen is still making improvements. I still think he's a terrific striker, and I don't think he should really be a +500 underdog against anybody. Where the line is now is kind of where it's at. And don't get me wrong, I'm not picking against Tatsuro Taira. I wouldn't go out there and do that considering the offensive skill set we've seen from Taira, but Rodrigues is going to put up a fight. I think even when Taira wins this fight, I don't think he looks in that -600 range. I think he more so looks like a closer line favorite. And I do think although he does win this fight, it could be dicey at times. Rodrigues does have his black belt. He does some very, very good striking on the feet, and he is a physically imposing guy. With that all being said, though, what I see happening most often is Taira getting that back and looking to get some control time. Potentially a finish, but nothing really guaranteed. And for that reason, it's also kind of hard for me to get to Taira at 9.4K. But do you really want to fade this guy? He has such good metrics. He is a very, very talented guy, and we haven't seen those flaws from him yet. The sky seems to be the limit, and it's hard to get away from him. So I don't think Rodrigues wins this fight at a high clip, although I do think he keeps it close. Taira is a bit harder to get to him, but there's so many volatile matchups. I'm kind of leaning towards not fading Taira per se, but kind of staying a bit lower owned, because although I think Taira wins this fight, it could come closer. It could come with some control time instead of a finish here, and it could end up not being on the optimal lineup. Risky take for sure considering the skill set of Taira, but I might go a bit different here and try to get some exposure elsewhere. Next up, 19-6 Jamal Emmers versus the 11-2 Jack Jenkins, and another line that's kind of confusing me. Let me pull this up real quick. It looks here right now that Jamal Emmers minus 210 favorite here against Jack Jenkins. And whereas Jamal Emmers is a guy who's fought some good level of competition, a guy who is a decent fighter, very, very well-rounded skill set, his fight IQ makes it so he shouldn't be this large of a favorite to anyone, let alone someone in Jack Jenkins, who I'm decently high on. And I think that's kind of where I'm going to build into here is, I don't know if I'm going to wait any longer for this line, but I will be betting on Jack Jenkins. I mean, plus 180, I would hop on that right now. It's going to keep climbing. Let it keep climbing. I'll hop in there. I'm on Jack Jenkins to win this fight. Another underdog early on, and I know that's kind of going against the grain this week. I've seen a lot of love for Emmers, and I get it. Well-rounded, he's fought some much better level of competition, and he has a decent skill set to pose problems for anybody. But that being said, I think Jack Jenkins is an extremely intelligent guy with a very, very well-rounded skill set. He has the ability to mix this fight up wherever he wants to go. If his opponent has a deficiency in the ground game, take him down. If you can outstrike him, outstrike him. And he has multiple levels to do that with his knees, leg kicks, striking on the feet, takedowns. The guy's talented and very, very well-rounded. Yes, he's fought low level of competition, but he's landed multiple takedowns. He's also showed off some great striking and some decent finishing power here. Add in the fact that Jamal Emmers is a guy who, struck with Giga instead of taking him down. A guy who went to the ground with Sabatini and got finished there. I don't know if I can trust Emmers to fight to the best of his abilities, whereas I think Jenkins can make the right adjustments and implementations to his game plan to go out there and succeed. For that reason, give me Jenkins, and I think he is a very, very good option, cash option, to win this week. With that being said, does he have the highest ceiling? I do see this fight going to decision a lot of the time, and for that reason, he's not my favorite GBP underdog. I do like him to win more than the line entails, so for that reason, you're going to want some of him in GBP, but considering the Dumases, the Vans, the Silvas, the Emmets, there are so many fighters with very, very high ceilings here in the underdog price range that I'm kind of getting away from him in GBP and more so staying towards him on cash and on the money line. So whereas I think this line's wide and I am going to lean towards the Jack Jenkins side, there are better fighters targeted on DraftKings. Really, really fun fight though. Give me the Aussie to get her done. Next up, Trevor Peek, 8-0, Chepe Mariscal, 13-6, and there are many ways I could go out and talk about Peek. I mean, he is a lovable fighter, not due to the fact that he has the most insane skill set, but he'll go out there and fight for your money. I mean, this guy will do whatever it takes to go beat up somebody. Ton of aggression, decent durability, a ton of heart, which makes you want to cheer for the guy. But come on, it's funny. It's entertaining to go out there and watch a guy tomahawk a guy and go bow, bow, and you really not really show much technicality except for he has more will to win than his other opponents, which is why he's 8-0. Yes, he's implemented the takedowns. Yes, he's shown good volume, but it's his aggression that really brings it apart. He'll always be on his opponent, always looking for that finish early on, and that's why we have another under absolutely juiced here to the under 1.5. His opponent, Chepe Mariscal, a guy who's fought some great level of competition, let me tell you that, a ton of accreditations. The guy is extremely talented in multiple levels of MMA, and he's fought some good level of competition. I'm happy he's finally giving it a shot, and he's getting some respect. I mean, a guy that everyone loves in Trevor Peek, kind of the underdog here. I mean, I think Mariscal is now the favorite, minus 115 favorite for Mariscal. I get why. But am I really going to be the type of guy to step in front of Trevor Peek right now? I don't know. Because as much as Mariscal has probably a better technical skill set, we've seen him finish, we've seen him rocked, we've seen him pressured, and he's going to be the smaller fighter here going up a weight class on short notice. Does this mean that Trevor Peek is some technical freak who's going to go out there and just decimate Mariscal from range? No, it means that if Trevor Peek's going to win this fight, it's because he's going to be the tougher guy, because both these guys have very aggressive styles. Both these guys want to kill each other. For that reason, it's going to be an extremely fun fight on DraftKings, but I kind of lean the Trevor Peek side because I've seen him recover. I've seen him go out there, and I think he's the guy the UFC wants to promote at this point. Super lovable, undefeated fighter. That's why I kind of want to get in front of him. I think there are points to fade Trevor Peek, and I'm going to do so eventually, but against a guy in Mariscal who's going to be smaller, short notice, who has been finished, I kind of want to lean towards Peek here, and I think I am going to. But on DraftKings, you want this fight. It's It was minus 200 to end under 7.5 minutes. It is going to end early. We've seen Trevor Peake go out there score 130 points before. I think one way or another, a guy's getting put to sleep early in that first round. And I mean, at 8,000, 8.2, you have the ability to get either fighter in there. I really, really like this fight to target. I'm going to take the Peake side, but I have an exposure to Mariscal as well. Very, very entertaining matchup. Another fun one too, Zhumagulov 14-8, Joshua Van 7-1. Another flyweight bout, and one I'm very, very interested in. Joshua Van, a very young guy, making the walk to the octagon. Short notice as well against Zalgas. Hopefully Zalgas finally gets his fight with his bowl cut haircut as well. But Van's been an all action guy. He's never seen the third round. He is killer to be killed fighter, and he has a really, really fun style because of that. But he does have his flaws. He can be taken down, and I talked last time about Zalgas, how he is implementing that ground game more often. He is working on that. So I think this is a fight where maybe, despite the flyweight narrative, I'm taking the under here. I think that they are going to go out there swang and bang, and especially the short notice and style of Van, we might see a fun fight from Zalgas this time. The problem is he's at 9K here. And before I break down the DraftKings, I think I am picking Zalgas for this fight, although Van is super explosive and we've seen Zalgas finish before. Zalgas has more paths to victory with his better level of competition, his ground game he can implement, and some decent fundamental striking in his own right. But on DraftKings, at 9K, can he rival the Tafas, Allens, Santos, Browns, Tairas, Topurias? I don't really think so, and it's hard for me to get to him at 9K. Now, he's going to be one of my favorite contrarian plays for these high 150 max entry lineups, but when I'm going out there, I'm taking a single entry, he's not going to be in one of them. Van is pretty similar. I mean, I think his path to victory is going to be nuking Zalgas round one, and if he does so, super high ceiling, but at what percentage does that happen? This is a pivot fight, and kind of a pivot fight at that. Gonna have some love for Zalgas, gonna have some ownership on that end because I do think he goes overlooked this week, and I think you can win some decent money with him getting a finish over this guy who's coming in on short notice. But there are also some amazing fights to target that rival this one and maybe do even better. So give me the under on this one. Give me Zalgas to get it done with the haircut. I think Van will be back though, and a very exciting prospect to look out for. Fun fight, fun pivot fight as well. Fun fights keep on coming. 8-1 Tafa Ricci versus the 12-7 Canadian Jillian Robertson, and closely lined fight for very, very good reason. You have the surging prospect Tafa Ricci, who has been shown an incredible ground game with takedowns, some good improving striking. She's been pretty physical as well, whereas Jillian Robertson's kind of, dare I say it, been a gatekeeper of this division. I love her. I think she's an amazing fighter. Love her supporting the Canadian flag as well, but we've seen her struggle against this better level of competition, although she goes out there and destroys this lower level of competition. She seems to have kind of that gatekeeper status because she is insanely technical on the ground. She's insanely talented, great back taking, great submission game from there. She's put out these lower level of competition, and I feel like that's kind of what people are relying on her to do here as well. We've seen Ricci finish by armbar in, I think it was a grappling tournament, and we've seen that Robertson has the ability to do that. And I think that forever this fight being on the ground, Robertson's going to have a chance to do so. With that being said, is it worthy of being only minus 130 to Ricci? Because I think that Ricci's going to be the more physical fighter. I think she's going to have the better striking. And I think that she has the better wrestling. So as long as she can avoid the submission, I think she wins this fight at a high clip. And that pains me to say because I love Jillian Robertson. So give me Tafa Ricci and give me her on DraftKings as well. Both these fighters have high ceilings. Ricci with the wrestling, she scored 122 her last time, 100 points against Oliveira before that, 93 against Vienna. When she's she's scoring well because she scored 4, 5, and 5 takedowns in her last 3 fights. Flip side of things, Robertson, when she's winning, when she's getting those submissions, she scored 105, 95, 116, 94, and 110. She's extremely talented. Both these girls' path to victory is going to score very well, so I want to sprinkle in this fight on DraftKings, and I think it's going to be one that could reward you very well by doing so. Being a women's fight that doesn't really garner too much attention, I think it should go overlooked. She should score very well. I'm leaning towards Ricci's side. However, Robertson's always deadly to finish with an armbar or anything like that from guard, considering how deadly she is on the mat. Super, super fun fight, though. Moving on, 17-1 Mateusz Rebecki versus the 17-4-1 Loic Radzhabov. Radzhabov coming off of a dominant DraftKings performance last time, 11 takedowns in his debut. EFL alum, Eagle FC alum, the guy's been everywhere, and he's finally trying to find his footing here. This time not on short notice, so I can't chirp him as much as I did last time, but facing Mateusz Rebecki, that is a tall task, because Rebecki is a fire hydrant, explosive dude, tons of first round finishes, great wrestling, submission game, and power on the feet to put anybody's lights out. But this may not be the best stylistic matchup for him here, and I think I tend to see myself choosing another underdog here. I think when it comes to people who I see beating Rebecki are the people who he can't get out of there. I mean, Rebecki has a ton of power, but we've seen him tire. We don't know how he is really off his back here, and if he's not going out there and finishing his opponents, does he have the minute winning equity to win a decision? I don't know if he does here. There's one thing we've seen from Radzhabov. He's going to go out there, shoot a ton of takedowns, and look to win this fight on the judges' scorecards, and has the cardio to back. I mean, he looked great last time on short notice. I can only imagine how good he's going to look out here this time. He scored 11 takedowns last time. I think he can score 4 or 5 here against someone in Rebecki, but he's going to have to be careful of that power shot. Luckily, Radzhabov's never been finished. Good durability on his end for that reason. I think I'm going to take him here. He also has the immeasurables, taller guy, longer fighter as well, and I think he's going to use that constant takedown and pressure to Taira or Rebecki, take away that power and explosiveness from him, and win this fight in the scorecards. For that reason, another good underdog and a great fighter target on DraftKings. Scored 120 last time out. I think he has a similar game plan here and could score very well at 7.8K on DraftKings. A ton of underdogs covered, super fun fights. I'm going towards another one here that I think does end inside the distance and have some good DraftKings scoring potential here. Randy Brown, 16-5, Wellington Turman, 18-6. Quicker breakdown because it's tough to really put a solid footing here because both these fighters have their weaknesses. Turman's been knocked out, Brown's been knocked out, their chins aren't the best. Randy Brown has had the much better range striker, and I think he has the power to put out someone like Turman, although Turman has a very, very solid ground game who has submitted people, and I think he has the grappling edge in this spot here. With that being said, I get why Brown's a favorite. Incredible striking. He's also a very physical guy with a good frame who could probably fend off the takedowns from Turman. And I think that when it comes to picking a winner, the most likely outcome I see is Randy Rude Boy Brown going out there and knocking out Wellington Turman. And I think that's kind of why the price tag is 9.3K on DraftKings, is what people expect him to do. Have to agree. The problem is, if he doesn't finish Turman, how's he scoring? Because I don't think he goes to the grappling here. And when he hasn't done that, he scores 76, 70, 71 in his decision wins. Not the best DraftKings score, and for that reason, I'm not always getting to him. I think there's a ton of better options this week. I've mentioned a ton of underdogs and a ton of mid-range fighters you want to target in a lot of your lineups. This one, although it has the potential to do well, and it is a good contrarian play, not my highest owned single entry lineup for sure. Flip side of things, Turman is a great GPP play because if he wins, he scores well. Well, not historically, but in this case, I do think he scores well if he wins here. He also is pretty compact and throws with heat, so if he does find the chin of Brown, Brown has been knocked out before, so not off the table, but this fight is kind of like the Zhumagulov one, as in it is a contrarian play, and that's kind of it. Ton of viability. I'm playing a ton of lineups this week if you can't tell, but not necessarily my favorite single entry play. Final prelim, 27-10, Neil Magny, 10-3, Philip Rowe. By the way, I will be summarizing all my DraftKings and betting picks at the end because holy, we got a lot to talk about. We got a fun fight here, and the first bet I made this week was on Neil Magny, and it seemed like everyone else did as well. I got minus 145. I know people got better. I know people got worse. I kind of fell in the middle of the pack there. And it's just because of that level of competition. I mean, simply put, Neil Magny is not someone who I've backed with the utmost confidence. I've kind of been against him recently, but he's facing a guy in Philip Rowe who has fought really no one the same level Neil Magny has. I mean, Magny's last fights against Gilbert Burns, Daniel Rodrigues, Rachmaninoff, Jeff Neal, Chiesa, like he's fought some killers in here, and he's done pretty well. I mean, he has a very good, well-rounded skill set to mix it up here. And against a guy in Rowe who has done decent. I mean, it's also the same guy who we've seen taken down and controlled by Jason Witt, a guy who had to have a comeback win against Kosi there, a guy who's lost to Gabe Green, a guy who, although he is working on his game and he is getting better, if I bet Nico Price, I'm betting Neil Magny here. I think Neil Magny has the tools to get it done, and I do think he has the edge here, not only the expertise, but also the well-rounded game plan to win on the judges' scorecard. But if you're going to win on the judges' scorecards, not really a fight I want to target. I mean, sandwich in between the Riccis, the Brundages, the Tafas. Magny, although I think he wins, he's not historically the best DraftKings scorer. I mean, 74 against Griffin, 71 against Neal, 63 against Martin. Like, he, in the decision wins, he's not scoring the highest. But what I will say is, although I'm picking Magny, everybody is, and for that reason, I think Rowe is a great contrarian play. When he wins by finish, he puts up a decent score, and I think that he is a good contrarian play to get a bit different. That being said, very minimal ownership here because I've talked about so many good dogs. I mean, he's sandwiched in between Robertson, Radzhabov on top, Jenkins, Dumas on the bottom. I talked about all those fighters as potential underdogs to play, so not the fight I'm most interested in on DraftKings. I am taking Neil Magny to get it done. Main card now, 21-5, Brendan Allen, 23-8, Bruno Silva. Let's make this one simple. Brendan Allen, I think, is going to win this fight as long as his chin is in check. Say that 10 times fast. It's a tough one to say, but it remains true. Brendan Allen, I think, is the superior fighter, someone who's making some great improvements, who has not only the striking edge here in terms of the volume, but also the better grappling edge here. I mean, we saw Silva controlled by Sanchez, subbed by Mearshart, and I think Allen has the skills to do that to Silva here again as well, as long as he can avoid that power that Silva has on the feet. We've seen Allen finish before. That's really the only concern. And I'm tempted to play Allen here from a betting perspective because I do think he is this far superior fighter here and has more paths to victory. it's just forever dangerous when Silva does have that one-punch power. That being said, though, I love the trajectory Allen has. Not the biggest fan of Silva, but another solid fight to target on DraftKings. Allen, when he wins, submitted Jocko early on, scored 107. Submitted Robertson, scored 110. I think he does have that wrestling path to victory here as well. That's kind of why he's a good GPP target there. But his opponent, Silva, also a terrific DraftKings target. 7.1K. When he wins, he's scoring 110, 108, 102. I mean, the guy, as an underdog, has come through before. He put up 110 as an underdog last time out. I think that if he wins this fight, he does score very well. I just don't think it happens all that often, and for that reason, not my highest owned underdog, but he is a great GPP underdog to target. However, I am taking Brendan Allen to wrestle and get her done. We move on with the 10-2 David Onama versus the 10-1 Gabriel Santos. David Onama took the scene by storm last time. He's kind of on a bit of a colder streak here, and he's coming in as the underdog after a loss to Nate Landwehr, what was an incredible fight. Onama with a 100% finish rate. I mean, it's kind of why he's on the main card. He's a very exciting fighter to watch, a guy who goes out there and put on these wars when he's losing, and when he's winning, he's usually getting his opponents out of there, as exemplified by that 100% finish rate. Santos came very close to beating Lerone Murphy last time on short notice in Murphy's hometown. I mean, it was an extremely close fight there, and it kind of really why he's such a favorite. That recency bias is there, sort of, and for good reason. I mean, he showed an incredible pace, an incredible display of a well-rounded skill set on short notice against an incredibly talented opponent, Lerone Murphy, and now he's debatably taken a step down on David Onama, a guy who just out-pressured, out-volume, and probably could have been finished at like 8 different times in that fight against Landwehr. The fight then remains, can Onama get him out of there? And I don't think he can. We haven't really seen that from Santos. Santos has been pretty durable. For that reason, Santos going to have the cardio edge, the minute-winning ability, and is just a very, very solid fighter who I think should win this fight at a pretty high clip. That's why it's at $9,200, but we've seen Onama be durable. Does Santos live up to his price tag? Does he outscore the Zhumagulovs, the Allens, the Tairas, the Topurias? Again, another tough question. I'm kind of under the field in this fight here, which could come back to haunt me. I do think Santos gets it done, though. I think he uses his pace to get probably a late finish from Onama. Very, very fun fight to continue that main card. And then the shortest breakdown for the shortest possible fight. Justin Tafa, 6-3. Austin Lane, 12-3. Heavyweight slot fest. Tafa's a favorite. And he deserves it? I mean, that's kind of how we're seeing from a fight here. Words I thought I'd never say. Austin Lane, the guy who famously got knocked out by Greg Hardy on Dana White Contender Series, getting his shot here. Main card right away, and facing a swanger and banger, an Aussie in Justin Tafa, in what is going to be a pretty fun fight for as long as it lasts. But the truth is, these guys both swing heavy. These guys are going to throw down early on, and who has the better chin and durability? It's Tafa. I think Tafa's also the more technical boxer, and for that reason, I think he wins this fight a lot of the time. He could also do so very early on, and for that reason, 8.8K. I love him. I mean, he just knocked out Porter and Hunsucker back-to-back. And if you're going from Vandera, Hunsucker, Porter to Austin Lane, first of all, get your manager a raise because you're having fun out there. But he's won all his fights in the UFC so far by first-round finish. I think he adds another here. Quick breakdown, heavyweight fight. You're going to want some of this on DraftKings because of it. Give me some Justin Tafa. And then we get to the co-main event. Amanda Ribas, 11-3. Macy Barber, 12-2. I've not been the best with Ribas fights. I mean, she's done very, very well. I bet against her with Chuk, and I feel like I got very lucky there. And then I picked against her with Araujo when I got my ass beat. I mean, Ribas has been improving. She's been doing very, very well. And now she gets the former hyped-up prospect in Macy Barber. Everyone seems to be on Ribas this week. And I get why. I mean, she's been the better fighter to cheer for. She's been someone who's done better recently, someone who has shown improvements, and someone who seems to have the higher trajectory. But Barber slows the fights down. I mean, she's on a 4-fight winning streak, all of which where she's scoring under 78 DraftKings points because she's taking her time, clinching against the cage, and winning optically. And she's getting these judges' scorecards. I mean, she got that win against Miranda Maverick, which she didn't really deserve, but she seems to be a ref favorite, one with a decent style there, and she seems to have a decent skill set to go out there and win these fights. And that's kind of why I'm not jumping on the Ribas bandwagon this week, because I do think that she should win this fight, but do I want to have my hard-earned money against a fighter who slows fights down, who has gotten judges' scorecards recently? I don't think so, and that's really what it comes down to. Do I see Ribas getting her out of there? Probably not, and for that reason, this fight's a fade for me on DraftKings. It is projected to go the distance. And although Ribas does have some finishing equity here, I don't think it's all that often. So give me Ribas to get it done in a very, very close affair. If Barber gets a split decision, would anybody be surprised? Probably not, but not one I have the most DraftKings interest in, not one I have the most betting interest in for that reason. Let's move on to the main event. The main event's a fun one. 18-3 Josh Emmett, 13-0 Ilia Topuria. Wide line for the largest favorite on the card, Ilia Topuria. Largest fight doesn't go the distance on the card as well. Now, does that stem from the fact that Topuria is a all-action fighter? Yeah, it does. But Emmett has his touch of death power. And before I break down this fight, let me say I'm picking Ilia Topuria to win this fight. and I think that he has a clear path to victory with the grappling. I think he has a clear advantage in the skill set. But something deep down is yelling at me to warn him not to strike with Josh Emmett, because I feel like Topuria would. I feel like Topuria's the type of guy to want to swing and bang with Emmett, and that's not what you want to do. Emmett has this touch of death power, and if he's going to win it all, it's going to be because Topuria brawls with him. That being said, though, Topuria has the takedowns, the ground game, the back control, and really the striking to keep up with Emmett. And the largest discrepancy here is in the grappling. I think that the striking is close with the power edge going to Emmett and the volume going to Topuria. But the grappling is Topuria all day. How does Topuria fare in a 5-round event? We're yet to see. But his cardio's looked good so far, and he's been a heavy favorite in all his fights for good reason. I'm picking Topuria. I think he gets it done early on by submission, by ground and pound. Who knows? But I'm cautious because Emmett does have that power and that's his path to victory. But for that reason, give me this fight on DraftKings. At 9.5, I've talked about a ton of underdogs to allow you to get to him. And if you want a punt play, I mean, Emmett, 6.7, his win condition scores very well. That being said, though, don't think it happens too often. So let's focus on Topuria here at 9.5K. I mean, if we talk about the other guys, we talk about the underdogs as Radzhabov, the underdogs like Dumas, the underdogs like Van and the GPPs. You can afford him. You can have no problem doing so. I like some Ilia Topuria, and I think he does get the win this weekend. But that's going to do it for me here on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I am here after I'm editing the video. It is late Tuesday night as I'm editing this right now, and I realized that I forgot to give out my quick picks. And for those who are like, you can watch throughout the video, there's this great person on Twitter called Brian, who goes by XBL on Twitch. He tracks all the cappers stats, so just make sure to go check him out, give him a follow there. But for those who are wondering about my quick picks, I am going with Cedric Dumas in a close fight early on. I am going Taira, although the line is wide. I am going Jack Jenkins as an underdog. Trevor Peek in a close fight, but you got to go with those hammer fists, right? We're going to go with Zhumagulov, Tabat Ricci, Loic Radzhabov, another dog, Randy Brown, Neil Magny, Brandon Allen, Gabriel Santos, Justin Tafa, Amanda Ribas, and Ilia Topuria. Stick around. We are now talking about our DraftKings plays for the slate. Let's go over a few things, though. My favorite fighter to win on this card, I think that all fighters above 9K should win this fight at a high clip. I think the line on Taira is wide. I can't trust Rudy Roundboy's chin. I can't trust Allen's chin. And Van's a pretty explosive young kid. That leads me to Santos or Topuria. Let's say Santos would be more fun. I mean, there's always a chance that Onama has that KO power, but I haven't seen it so far. So give me Santos as my favorite pick or parlay option of the card. If we are talking actual parlay, though, like the comment suggested, give me the unders in a few of these fights. When the alternate totals come out, the under 2.5, I'll be parlaying those. I like the under in the Dumas Brundage fight, the under in the Lane Tafa fight, and the under in the Peak Mariscal fight. I'm going to be betting Brandon Jenkins. I already bet Mr. Neil Magny, and I'm going to take a shot on the Brown and Turman under as well. Probably going to end up betting Radzhabov, probably going to end up betting Ricci. That's already a very, very big betting slate there. DraftKings-wise, like I mentioned, you want this Peak versus Mariscal fight. You want this Ricci versus Robertson fight. You want this Dumas versus Brundage fight. You want this Lane versus Tafa fight. And you want this main event. Can we build a lineup with that? Let's see. Well, I mean, if you take Dumas, if you take Radzhabov, you take Ricci, you take Tafa, well, that allows you to get Topuria and still have your choice of the Mariscal Peak fight. Actually, you can only get Mariscal there, but that's a very good option looking at it. If you prefer Robertson over Ricci, you have that there as well. That's a lineup I'm really liking, but there's also those pivot plays in the Van Zhumagulov fight, in the Brown Turman fight, and then I am a bit underweight to Taira, but you still got to have some exposure to him as well. This is an extremely, extremely fun DraftKings card, and hopefully all the content I've given you guys this week, all the information I put out there is going to help you guys win your DraftKings lineup and win your bets this weekend. Like I said, if you guys have any comments or concerns, please leave it in the comments down below or message me on Twitter at GamblesGordo. Always happy to talk fights. We do have ourselves a very, very fun 14-fight card, though, and I am looking forward to it. Please hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel. Best of luck in all your betting and DraftKings endeavors this weekend. Let's make some money, guys.